All righty, it is 8 p.m. Welcome to the Inside Ride, a top 20 training Webishow, soon to be the top 20 training Inside Ride podcast. You just buckle up and wait, folks. We spend the next half hour focusing on what's really going on in education with a little SEL, social emotional learning spin. Tom and I, my wonderful partner here, will have a little banter, and then we'll bring on tonight's guests that will enlighten and enliven the evening. My name is Kevin Brennan. I'm one of the owners, authors, and trainers of Top 20 Training. And one day, a long time ago, Tom asked me to go to Brugger's, and there we partnered. Tom, who are you?
That was the most expensive bagel I ever bought. I got stuck with you for 12 years. Hey, I'm Tom Cody. Thanks for joining us, whether you're live or you're seeing us a week from Tuesday on the tape. Thanks for hanging out. My thought for the day is I'm hearing a lot about schools, Kevin, that are behind. Everybody's behind. The kids are behind. The kids didn't get photons. The teachers are sitting here with about 7-8 weeks left. Don't worry about getting through to page 422. Worry about getting through to students. And especially,
the folder from last year says we're supposed to get to 422.
Good luck. Yeah, that ain't going to happen there, Dolores. And I got news for you. Even if you get to page 422, they lost you at about 311 because they've been hybrid, home, distance. Nobody knows what's going on next week for your schedule. Just hang on to kids. Yeah. And meanwhile, you're doing some tough stuff this month because it's April. So you're doing Shakespeare and all the stuff. You say, yeah, it's getting steep. So the kids are doing stuff they don't feel like. Yeah. So you got to keep kids doing. That's important, that the kids keep doing things, even though it's D-fly season. DFLI, don't feel like it.
Don't feel like it.
Keep pounding those kids with stuff. And it's not about the content.
Yep, you're right. You're right. You know what?
How you doing?
I've been reminded about the power of the pause today. I had to pause with the way some of my kids were acting at dinner tonight, and I paused with the ability to gather myself, check out my own inside ride, and then respond. 30 seconds before we started this webinar, I got some news on a text that sent me swirling. I had to pause, get my ride in check, get rebalanced, and get ready for this. So there's a great power in the pause to bring our best self forward. And for the educators out there, what greater gift can you give your kids than the power of the pause? You know?
And one more thing, Kevin and I are originating from St. Paul, Minnesota. We're just a few miles from riot, unrest, another tragic shooting in Brooklyn Center. Educators, it's never been more important that you allow a safe space for kids to talk, especially kids that don't look like Kevin and I. Keep listening. Just keep giving kids a safe space, because as adults, we're completely befuddled by all this. But think about the kids. They got to be really confused with what's going on. And we're not going to provide answers tonight, and you're not going to provide answers in your classroom, but open up the lines of communication.
Yep. And you know what? Tom and I, friends that are listening, have the gift, and so do our training partners, gift of meeting a lot of great educators and a lot of great schools that put kids first. Truly, it's almost cliche to say, but kids come first, but there are certain places that do that. And one such place is Apple Valley High School here in Minnesota. A dear friend of ours has taken the helm as principal. And when Tom told me that we were going to be spending some time at Apple Valley, he says, you got to meet Carla. Carla and I go back. So Tom, please let the people know who Carla is and what a gift she is to this Webishow.
Well, we were just getting started in Top 20 back in 2004-05. And somebody out at Apple Valley High School, it's a suburb here in Minnesota of the Twin Cities. And Carla was there that day. And we were just throwing seeds out at that time. We didn't know what was sticking. We didn't know what was growing. But we met Carla Christiansen. And then we kind of disappeared. She saw a parent deal and she saw me for an hour at the high school. And then years later, we're reconnected. And lo and behold, she's been doing stuff all along. So sometimes educators, remember, when you plant something, you don't know what's growing till you come back. But my buddy Carla, welcome, Carla. You're muted.
Unmute yourself there, Carla. Hey, only
Hey,
an invitation.
that's just Zoom, is it not?
This will go way better when we can hear you.
You guys thought I really wasn't saying anything though. I was just waving and making
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
a trick that I learned. Like I had to let the kids think I knew when I was on mute and not.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. We've
I had to
learned a
fake it
lot
till I
during
could
the
make it
Zoom
there.
season, haven't we?
Yeah. Hey, Carla, welcome. Thanks so much for giving us the next half hour. We know you have a very busy life and your plate is full. You have kids in the building these days. You got a lot going on. So thank you from Top 20 Training and for all the attendees and folks that'll watch us later.
So
For sure.
Carla, we're back.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Hey, go back 15 years. You hear something at this parents deal, and then you hear something at we had a little screen set up, and I was doing something at Apple Valley. What stuck in your head? Was there something that was said where you went, I want to run with this social emotional learning? What do you remember anything you heard that just went bing?
Time out for people that are listening that don't know what Tom means by parents deal and then thing with the screen. So 15 years ago, you were at a parent top 20 session.
Yes.
Right? And then they probably had you probably brought your little cute little projector, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah, I remember the screen was like one of those ones you had to like.
So what hit you there, Carla? Sorry for interrupting there.
No, that's okay. I went to it as a parent and I left with teacher ideas and parent ideas. And I think what stuck, I don't know if there was one special thing except for the simplicity of what you and Paul were talking about and how much it made sense. Just kind of waking up my common sense to things. But I would say one thing that has stuck with me from day one is the idea of the line and living above the line. And, we know we go below the line, but let's just visit it and, not make bad decisions when we're down there and then work to get back above the line. That is probably the one biggest thing. And I think that was, I did take that as a parent, right? About when the kids were getting on my last nerve at home to be careful of the decisions I was making and the things I was saying. And then it just translated and worked very well at school with so many, I didn't have to teach very hard to help the kids understand the line. It's a really simple, but strong and powerful idea.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they hear this stuff, say it's internally valid. It isn't like, oh, I'd rather be negative. Like it's simple and it sticks. But I love the idea that you walked in as a parent and then all of a sudden you're walking out as a teacher. And then 10 minutes later, you're back to, oh, now I'm a mom again. Very seldom does professional development help you as a mom or help you as a sister-in-law, So it's been really cool to hear stories about how people wear different hats. And
if you think about the world, people are naturally focused on what's going on outside. And that's why we consider this the inside ride. We have to be curious about our inner life. And that's exactly what Carla's talking about being above or below the line. Sometimes this thing is working and sometimes it's not. And if we're unaware, like you said, Carla, we make a decision and it doesn't go all that well. So what happened then? You've been a teacher. What do you do at Apple Valley? What were you doing then? How has that changed? How has kind of these concepts followed you along?
Well, at that time, I was actually really just teaching wellness classes, a wellness 1, which was 9th graders, and wellness 2, which was 10th graders. And it fit the pieces that I learned that day fit so well with wellness 2 and our opening unit with wellness 2 and positive mental health. And I started to look and dig some more and try to find where can I get a little bit more of Tom Cody and a little bit of Paul in my life. Right. And where could I get more of this top 20? So I got my hands on the textbook. Do I call it a textbook? The blue book, Top 20 Teens. Yes, I got my hands on that book and just I think I read it in a night, to be honest, because I could read it so quick and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is good. This is good. And it just matched so well with what we were teaching. And I went back to the other people I was teaching with. I said, we need to throw out the textbook and we need to move towards top 20. And I knew that at Cretan, you guys were doing it as a full class, which is really
Right.
what I wanted, but I knew we couldn't pull that off in our setting. But I knew we could pull a lot of that into our class because it just made so much sense. And from there, we were able to do a good portion of the book, but then we realized, oh my gosh, this chapter about risk and healthy risk, that makes sense with Wellness One when we're talking to the kids about analyzing risk and healthful behaviors and risk behaviors. And then we thought, oh my gosh, this fits with our chemical health unit too. So while we were doing a lot of the cornerstones to start our Wellness 2 class, we started to find another chapter here that we could infuse in to other parts of our wellness classes.
Cool.
And it was a really positive piece that was easy to learn. We didn't need to go to any special training. We could, right? But we didn't really need to be able to use the ideas because they're so common sense.
How did the kids react?
Just the idea that we were able to use a bike to talk about their IQ and their EQ, it made sense. And I remember having kids say, well, kids call me Miss C, and they're like, Miss C, this is common sense. I'm like, it is, isn't it, you guys? But it was kind of like just unlocking their common sense. They had it, but it was kind of like their prefrontal cortex, right? It wasn't quite working. Their common sense wasn't quite there. But then when we could put it in these terms like this, that I could talk this language and they could talk this language, it started to make so much more sense to them. And it's just a fun feeling when they would come to class, especially with the line, and be like, kind of below the line today. And like, just, okay, you go sit behind in the corner there. We will let you be below the line for as long as you need today, but we're going to find out how to get, back above the line. So it was really good, simple language that they were speaking and I was speaking.
Those two things, common vocab is cool. Number two, Carla points out, a lot of times when we do a training, people think, well, we can't start a course like this. We don't have room in the elective. We can't teach it like they do in some schools. But Carla, you had health, you had wellness, you got body and mind class, you used to coach softball, you got women in sports, a day where you present stuff. I mean, you found ways to get this in, even though it's not a quote class. Mm-hmm. But I think health has been a real good entry level for us in many schools. It's a place where people can use the SEL, the social emotional learning, as mental health.
Yes.
So it's been cool that you've been able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and you were just mentioning the mind-body connection. I guess I maybe talk about that a little bit. So I haven't been teaching quite as much wellness as of late, but I was starting to recognize still a need for something more. And I was thinking of our wellness classes, our physical education classes, and maybe marrying them just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I can't really take credit for anything I do. I don't think too much of it's original. I actually, Shannon Field, I had met her and she was telling me about a class that she had been teaching at Roseville High School. And it just stuck with me. And I just kind of was like, oh, I think we need this. And I just kind of kept thinking of how it fit at Apple Valley. So last year, I proposed this class, Mind Body Connection. And I thought it would be 2 years down the road, and it got kind of fast tracked a little bit. And this year I ended up with 3 sections of it, which kind of said to me, I think there's a need for the class. And then we have registration for next year already. And I really didn't know if it was going to keep going because we've had such a unique run of hybrid learning, distance learning. Right. And we have 4 sections of the class now next year.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've really tried to build it around social emotional learning. And almost every lesson I try to teach, there's something I pull from top 20 teens to kind of enforce today we did optimism, which we need so much right now. Yeah. And I just was able to pull pieces from top 20. We were talking about how to feed the positive and how we can practice optimism through the week and put out a little challenge for optimism this week.
And that is, I just want to thank you for that, because what is normative now is eating the negative. We just kids, adults, listen to first word conversations and just chowing down on the negative. And the problem with that for kids is that becomes what's normative in life. And what a gift to have you saying, hey, there's another option. There's a choice here. You can feed something else. You don't have to just gobble up this other stuff. So that's fantastic, because it's not normative. They everywhere they look, the news, the internet, social media, it's all feeding the other side. So bravo.
Thank you.
So
yeah, it was a good little piece. We were, like you were just talking about, that negativity bias that we all have, and recognizing that and be able to overcome that negativity bias.
For sure.
And train our brains for the positive. So.
Tell me more about mind-body connection. So you got some workout in there. I mean, some of this is run, walk, lift.
Yes. Well, ideally I want it to be 5 days a week, which I'm hoping next fall I get back to that. So 2 days a week we work on learning things like optimism and a lesson that goes with optimism, how we can practice that. And then the other 3 days we do some sort of physical activity, skill building. Actually, just if I go with this, last week, we worked on mindfulness and how important mindfulness is. And we practiced a body scan to work on mindfulness and kind of challenge them to like build their mindfulness muscle. Because they found the first time I had them do it at home, and they could barely make it 5 minutes without distractions, and just realizing it's okay to take 5 minutes to just be really aware of where I am, what I'm doing, and kind of reset for the day. This week, we're going to use yoga in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to start with a gentle yoga stretch this week, just to kind of get started and know what that feels like. And then we're going to work on how we can use yoga to be mindful, and the different ways we can use that to kind of control what's going on, the messages that our mind is sending our body, and what we're doing with our body to help our mind be healthy. So 3 days a week, we'll try to do some sort of physical, usually it's a lower level activity, but it's still an important activity, right? I mean, sometimes we can make it we even make it a little bit cardio, but I actually took a class in Tai Chi last fall. So I need another class. It's a hard thing it sounds fun and simple, and it's a little challenging to learn. So I'm hoping to continue with Tai Chi and be able to teach the kids that too, because I've been looking around a lot, and I don't know a much better mind-body connection activity than Tai Chi. It's awesome. It's fun.
But again, if you want to get good at anything, whether it's left-handed layups or bunting a softball, this is a skill, mindfulness. You have to practice it. And I love that you've connected social emotional learning, mindfulness, workout, yoga, breathe, and even that 5 minutes. I said to somebody last week, at 69 years old, I'm alone a lot now. I got a great wife, but she's fine if I leave. I'll tell you what, you got to be really good at being alone in your life. There's times where you're not going to have a party going in your world. And just that spirit of being okay, being inside yourself. If we can teach teenagers that, what a gift. I'm still trying to figure it out, what a gift.
The reaffirming thing, I think, for me has been after we do something like the body scan, or we'll do progressive muscle relaxation. There's so many things that we can do when we get finished with them. When kids are like, that was the best class I've had all year, something like that. And at first I'm going, because you just got to lay around. But then so I can be pessimistic about it. But sometimes I think, because they really needed it. They really needed that opportunity, or they really needed somebody to tell them it's okay to take care of yourself and take this time for yourself so you can be better for everybody else, and for what other things that you need to accomplish and do through there. I like to say, just to promote our health and physical education, like, I help you learn to be healthy so you can be healthy, use that out there. help you be successful in your other
Yeah.
classes.
And you're going to use this. There's so many things they're learning at Apple Valley and everywhere else that they're not going to use. The content, this content makes sense. It's useful. It's not in a book. Carla, you cannot be replaced by Rosetta Stone or Khan Academy.
Thank you.
This is stuff. Well, you can't. I mean, but there's better ways to learn content than teacher. But it takes Carla to get a kid to like calm this down. Let's figure out what's going on in here. That's the gift of a great teacher, you know. So thank you for being that person.
That's really nice of you.
How about talk about women for a minute? Because Kevin, you mentioned negativity. Kevin, you got a daughter who's what, 17?
17. She's a junior.
She's getting bombarded with crap more than the boys. And Carla, have you got a daughter? 2 daughters. So
Yep.
you know all about raising young women.
Yes.
You women in sports, softball coach, you've taken this. Talk about these young women. Well, they got different needs for their prefrontal cortex because they're getting bombarded with negative crap all the time.
Right. So honestly, this when I was in college, shout out to Loris College.
Go Loris, go on.
My sister was in a marketing class and had to do something marketing, and she did it at sports promoting women and all the girls that were in sports at Loris College years ago, right? So I think I felt like we needed something as I was coaching, but I feel like it helped that I had daughters, and as they got further into sports, I started to realize, man, they need more than just showing up at a practice. And, you know, they need help trying to figure out how to juggle all this. And I wanted to be able to tell them, you can do it all, right? You don't need to be a one sport athlete. You don't need to, you know, just like go work and because you won't play later, something like that. So I got together with some other coaches at Apple Valley, and we just kept brainstorming, what could we do? What could we do? And I kind of had that background, like we did this, you know, when I was in college. So we started small. We actually started National Girls and Women in Sports Day. And we tried to find the day closest to that first one in February and hope that we had a lot of girls athletic events that night. And one time we struck gold because we had a home gymnastics meet. We had a girls basketball game at home and a hockey game. And we had all these little girls. We invited all the Girl Scouts, and they could go from gymnastics to basketball to hockey and back and forth. In fact, we even got Marnie Gellner to come, and she spoke at halftime of the girls' game. So we did that, and we were like, this was just one small event. We needed it to be more. We kept talking to our principal and convinced him finally, like, let us have a day at school. So we set up a full day at school, invite all the female athletes to come, and we have a couple of keynote speakers, and then we do breakout sessions, and we would do things like yoga. We would talk about what's going on in here. We'd have some sports psychologists come in and talk about a control circle. And there was just so much power and energy and excitement to put all these girls together in one gym and be like, you play hockey, you play soccer, I play basketball, but we're one. And just to see the girls be there for each other and support one another and gain some life lessons that were not X's and O's. We didn't talk any X's and O's.
Sure.
Everything was geared to like, and helping them understand, like, now use this as a springboard for your life. Let these sports guide you and provide leadership and the skills that you're gaining from sports, and be confident about those. And the best part of the day was always this. We did it in a gym in school. So it's happening during the school day. And the boys would be walking by. Hey, why don't we get a day like this? When do we get to have our day? And some of the girls like, you get your day every day. This is, and they were really proud about, and we'd always have a banner with our theme for the year, and they'd all sign it. And at the end of the day, it was like, where are you going to hang it up? Where are you going to hang it up? And we'd be like, we'll put it in the training room. We wanted it in the front entryway, but it was just very empowering.
Cool.
And we've done that. Like, we go to a day. We're still kind of spinning the wheels. We want to try to get it maybe a day every trimester or something, but you guys might have to help me with Mr. Mons on that one.
Yeah, we'll work on your principle.
Well, and I just love associating, you know, we call them star qualities, but associating something with something they're already passionate about, so you have the sports, whether it's gymnastics, hockey, basketball, but then saying there's this other element of this craft, of this athleticism called your inner life, and being able to focus and be able to respond, that gets elevated along with the athletic ability. And then they realize, well, at the end of the day, what am I really going to have 25 years down the line? Well, I'm going to have my bike up top. I'm going to have the ability to pause. I'm going to have the ability to be aware of whether I'm above or below, which is great. And getting them in their passion is a wonderful place to do so.
The other thing is I'm empowered. I don't care if the girl plays softball or whatever. I'm powerful. I have this ability to be who I want to be. And a lot of times our society is, well, it tells the white men that, I was told that all along. I can do what I want. But I love that you're telling that message to kids and that it's getting embedded from a real person. I want to thank you, Carla, for what you're doing. I love your high school. I love what you're doing.
I love my high school too. It's a great school.
And I want to touch base with you about maybe hanging out at that body mind connection.
You are invited.
Well, thank you. I want to get out there and see what you're doing because it's intriguing. So thanks for your time, and don't give up. You're making a difference. Thank God we met 15 years ago.
Yes.
So
Thanks,
much,
guys.
Carla. Appreciate everything. All the best.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wow.
Kev, what do you got?
Fantastic. Well, my biggest thing is just, again, awakening something in kids that is probably asleep or that they didn't even know was there yet, meaning their understanding of whether their thinking is working or whether it's not, above and below the line. Or just like she said, the ability to just take a deep breath, collect yourself, and react out of that. As a kid, I didn't know that was an option. I thought it was just go, react. This will all be great, because I was operating with a half-formed prefrontal cortex. So the fact that she's saying, I'm going to pause what I'm doing and I'm going to make sure this gets in their risk awareness for kids. Wow. Okay. I love it. So that's what's hit me in the heart. What about you?
Well, again, she said something that was interesting. By the way, she referred to Paul a bunch of times. That's Paul Burnaby, for those of you that aren't top 20 groupies here. Paul Burnaby is one of the founders and authors and owners. And Paul said to me once, what we're doing, we're not putting anything in kids or teachers. This is all there. Carla's just stirring up and waking up something that was already came in the kid being hardwired.
Love it. Yeah.
If you're interested, teachers, and spread this, retweet this, get this video to other folks, especially if you're health wellness, Fayed, I think this would be especially applicable if you have a buddy there. But if you're interested in our trainings, June 29, 30, July 1, that's our next open 3-day training. It's like 3 mornings, 1 afternoon, and there's some videos to fill in. If you're interested, go to www.top20training.com. You can register, but you're seeing this much of what we got on these web shows. If you want to see like yay much the whole thing, get to our 3-day training this summer. It's going to be virtual. You can do it from the comfort of your own sweatpants. So
indeed.
Also, Kevin, Tom, Paul, Willow, we're ready to go for August. 2 shots right here, baby. I'm ready to get it back on the road. So if you're looking for PD in August, September, October, give us a yell. We'd like to get back on a Delta flight and come see you.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to put up this book for a second. This is the top 20 teens that Carla playfully referred to as the textbook. But yeah, this is also available on our website. It's meant for working with kids. But when I was a frontline educator, teacher, before I was formally a part of the top 20 team, it's a great resource for different scenarios that come up with kids. Roadblocks to success. Yeah, I ran into that teaching sophomores, but I didn't say anything. There's a chapter on communication. It's just a fantastic resource if you're ever interested. www.top20training.com. We have all sorts of stuff. Hey, we want to thank you so much for your time tonight. This will of course be on YouTube by the end of the evening. Spread it around, pass it, let other people hear about the great work Carla's doing at Apple Valley High School. Tom.
Yeah. Also, we're going to transition from this every Tuesdays. We're going to transition this probably to more of a podcast format. We think we can hit more people if we get this on tape. We know some people have been having a tough time with 8 p.m. Central. So we're going to look for the information on that coming soon to a podcast near you, Tom and Kevin.
Hey, thanks for riding along with us. This has been the Inside Ride. All the best to you. Bye-bye.
Keep riding. Hang in there. Bye.
Bye.